Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Incubator Podcast. We are back here today for a new episode of Tech Tuesday. Daphna, how are you this morning?
I'm doing really well, and we love featuring fellows, and we have a graduating fellow, almost on his way out, and we have really been looking forward to this episode because we met Theodore like it feels like a year ago now.
It does, it does.
So, we've really been looking forward to this episode.
Yeah, I mean, um, it's unusual for us to have fellows on Tech Tuesday, especially now that Rupa has
Mhm.
this special series for fellows. But we snatched Theodore before she could establish herself, so so we get to record with Theodore today, and he might actually stay tuned. He might make an appearance on Rupa's Fellows Friday.
Absolutely.
But Theodore, welcome to the podcast, and it's a pleasure to have you on.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I'll say it to you all at CHNC, and I'll say it again just for everybody to hear. You all, I just want to thank y'all for being an inspiration, right? Like there's a lot of us that don't feel like we fit the mold when it comes to like the typical physician or typical neonatologist, and I think what you all have been able to do with the Incubator Podcast has been fantastic, and it's like an inspiration really to all of us.
Ah,
That's
that
nice
that
of you
means
to
that means a
say.
lot. Thank you, Theodore.
Okay, we're done. No, I'm just kidding.
So, Theodore is a third year fellow. Actually, I'm going to introduce you properly, Dr. Theodor Uzamere, who's a third year fellow at Texas Children's Hospital. You're a graduating fellow. You'll be joining the team at UT, and what we're here to talk about today is something that we had the chance to see at last year's CHNC symposium. We met you, and you had these little cards with you, and that's really what we're here to talk about. So, can you tell us a little bit about what these are and what you're intending to do with this project?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, like, standing name right now, the console cards. That's just a name and a project that I'm very passionate about and came up with during my first year of fellowship. Just coming in, I knew I didn't want to do like the typical type of research, like bench work or things that I've done in the past. I just wanted to kind of take the creative aspects of my life and meld them with what I love to do on a day to day. So I picked the research mentor, Dr. Sungren, amazing, and we just kind of discussed where there were gaps in practice. So I love consults, and I love, like, we call it the TLC service. So transport, labor and delivery, and consult. So I love that service because not only can I go to deliveries, get my hands on, we also do consults. So I just always remember in residency thinking like, wow, we come into these rooms and we say, hey, these scary things are about to happen, and we want to prepare you for that. And we unload on these mothers and fathers, and then we say, "Do you have any questions?" And then we walk away, and then we don't really see them again until we get into the NICU. So I thought there has to be a better way to do this. So as we were going through and discussing what a project might look like, I thought, how do I study? Like when somebody comes to me and tells me a lot of information, how do I kind of compartmentalize and make sure that these things are retained? And the first thing that came to mind was how I studied for step 1, 2, and 3. And flashcards played a significant role in that, whether they be digital flashcards or physical flashcards. So I thought, hey, Dr. Sungren, let's create flashcards for parents, and not just something that we can show at the console, but something they can keep so their families continue to study. And that's kind of how the console cards were born. Yeah. So that's where we are right now. As we came forward, I'm not a great artist, but I started doodling and seeing what these console cards could look like. But I kind of stopped in my tracks, and Dr. Sungren and I thought, you know what, let's kind of get some feedback from the people who will actually be using these cards. So I think that was a beautiful portion. This became a two-part project during my fellowship. The first part was meeting with our NICU Family Advisory Committee, getting some focus groups together, and actually getting some parents' input on what they would like. So coming into it, I wanted to, do some BPD cards, maybe like some cards with some vocabulary in it. It's nothing too crazy. But after we kind of emerged from these focus groups, we got this comprehensive set of cards with 5 sections: diseases, respiratory support, vocabulary, nutrition, and vocabulary.
Very, very interesting. And so, can you tell us a little bit about are these truly like flashcards? Like they're small. I mean, can you tell the audience like how big are they? And like right now,
Absolutely.
I know you presented like a little box to us when we
Mhm.
were at CHNC.
Yeah,
How many
right.
cards do you have? Yeah, right there.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
do you know how many cards are currently in that initial box? And what is your plan moving forward?
Absolutely. So right now, there are 35 cards in the box. We didn't want to do anything too robust, but the hope is to expand it into different specialties like NICU renal, NICU cardiology, things like that. Like I said, they're divided into 5 sections. So the disease cards are blue. We have orange cards that are the imaging cards. Green cards are respiratory support. Red vocabulary, and purple are nutrition.
The green cards are not the immigration green cards, people. I'm
No,
just
No,
saying.
they're not.
totally not. And Theodore, why don't you pull out one of those cards and
Absolutely.
read us the front and the back so people can get a really good idea? I love that card. That's the perfect card to start
Yeah,
with, I think.
absolutely.
So
This card is special to me, because
I was gonna ask if you had a favorite card.
actually this is special because coming into this project, we asked a couple of different questions. We thought, could this decrease parental anxiety surrounding the consult, and could this increase knowledge retention? These are the questions we started with. So going into it, we met these parents at the consult, or within 72 hours of the consult. We introduced to them the cards. They were randomized into whether they were gonna get the cards or not get the cards. Then we followed up about a week after their NICU admission, and then close to discharge. We wanted to see if their anxiety scores decreased, like with this particular anxiety survey we used, and then whether they did better on the set of knowledge questions. So this intraventricular, I don't know if I can see an intraventricular hemorrhage card, was really special to me because when I followed up with one of the fathers at the second visit, he came to me. He said, "Man, they actually told me that our 32 weeker unfortunately has a grade 1 hemorrhage, and that may not be the most common thing, but me and my wife were kind of reeling, and we just didn't understand what was going to go on. And my first inclination was to go on the Dr. Google and see, how bad is this going to get? But I stopped myself. I took a look at the deck of cards you gave me. I pulled out the intraventricular hemorrhage card, and it made us feel better. And I love that, right? So the disease cards are really important to me because I think they are the most comprehensive. On the front, it's a picture and the description of like what this disease is. But on the back, I think is where these cards kind of shine, right? So there is like a definition of what intraventricular hemorrhage is in like layman's terms, common questions that they might have to ask their physician, key facts about intraventricular hemorrhage, and then key words that are tied to the red vocabulary cards. So that dad specifically honed into the common questions because once again, we leave the room and we say, "Hey, do you have any questions?" They're like, "You just told me I'm about to have a 25 week, or you just told me that my kid has a grade 1 hemorrhage. I literally don't even know where to start." So looking at these cards, it gives them examples of common questions we have received from families in the past.
I love that, and I mean, that story is just everything, right? It goes to show that, parents are looking for reliable information, and
Absolutely.
and if we don't give it to them, they're gonna find it, somewhere else, and that may be good or bad, information. You told us a little bit about, your evaluation of the cards, pre and post, evaluations. Any data from that that
So
you wanna share?
we're finalizing the data now, and what it's looking like is in both groups, the one group that received the cards, one that did it. There doesn't seem to be much of a difference, right, with anxiety and with knowledge retention. But I think what that allowed us to do is take a step back and say, do those kind of endpoints matter, right? Like, do we actually care if mothers and fathers know the difference between a grade 4 or a grade 1 hemorrhage? So I think like where we're moving to next is not only to expand like the centers that these cars are being used at to see if we can get more data, but asking different questions like parents' perception of their care that they've received in the NICU, the quality of education they feel like they've received, their engagement in the team, or how much they feel supported. These are questions I feel like are better, are actually the questions that we want the answers to when it comes to like giving parents information about their children.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a tall order to ask, your
Absolutely.
educational cards to make those kinds of impacts. But I mean, already from the stories you told now and you've told us before, it's obvious that these are impactful for parents. So I think that's really tremendous. You told us a little bit about what the future looks like. So then you'll have kind of organ specific packs.
That's the hope. That's the hope. Initially, we didn't want to overwhelm parents, but one thing that I was actually surprised at during the focus groups, because we had a variety of parents that joined those focus groups. Some of them had kids with genetic disorders like trisomy 18. Others had significant cardiac defects, and they were saying, "Hey, like this is a good start, but what about me? Right? Like you don't have a card about TGA." You don't have a card about trisomy 21 or what that means for the anomalies associated with trisomy 21. And I said, wow, that's amazing, and that definitely would be the next step.
And tell me a little bit about I'm sorry, I just totally lost my question. Ben, I know you have a question.
Mhm.
No,
I see you
I
there.
would like to find out a little bit for the people who are looking at this and saying, "Hey, this is kind of neat." What's your distribution plan?
Mhm.
Obviously, right now you have a prototype in hand. Um, I'm going to ask the question: how can people get these in their NICUs tomorrow?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So tomorrow might be a little too early, right? I think right now my main two asks is I wanna study this asking different questions and do this at different centers. I think we have a very diverse population here in Houston, but I want to see how this does in the Northeast, in the West, things like that. And I think at this point it would be great to get somebody to license these, like whether either Elsevier, Kaplan, things like that, so that because my hope would be that hospitals and organizations would purchase these, but they would be provided to families for free, right? Like that would be the ideal
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. And I think so. Then at this point, it seems clear that that you perceive that these cards have some degree of room for improvement,
Mhm.
and so I think it's important for people that to know that if there is an interest in maybe collaborating or being a test center, then people should reach out to you and maybe collaborate with you on
Absolutely.
the quality improvement initiative associated with this project.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I would hope I can give y'all my email and put them in the episode notes. Because I would love for people to reach out, and if this is something that you would love to see in your center, I would love to collaborate with you to improve them. I think it was always a thought that we would continue having focus groups with our NICU Family Advisory Committee and continue to improve on these cards.
Yeah. And you will be by the time this episode air, you'll be an attending, or you'll be
Yeah.
close to being an attending.
Oh,
So
great.
if you're a fellow out there, um, then it's also an opportunity to work closely with a junior faculty on a project, and have this truly be maybe one of your multiple scholarly activities, if not maybe your sole scholarly activity. So something to think about. Daphne, were you able to remember what you were going to ask?
It came back to me.
Great.
Well, that you've kind of touched on it. My question was really, how do you foresee units using this? Do you foresee that I have my individual stack, and when I go to talk about a specific diagnosis, I can take that one card? Or it sounds like you think it's best for a parent to have the whole pack, even knowing that they may not see all those diagnoses.
Yeah, so right now, just because of money constraints, we didn't divvy up the cards based on gestation. But what we did do is we designed and printed like a guidebook, so a flashcard guidebook, and it differentiated between three gestational like kind of groups, so like the 25 to 28, 28 to 32, 32 to 35. And based on what gestational group you fell in, we have cards that we recommend you look at. You're free to look at all of them, but we don't want to get you nervous if you're having a 35 weeker looking at like a neck or an intraventricular hemorrhage card. But these things do happen, and you do have them in case your child does experience those things. So that the thought would be like there would be a library of cards, and as you're going to talk with this family, then you could hand put cards that you feel like are more relevant. I think the key here though is I think people have done studies similar to this in the past. Like there's Dr. Gillian, I think she did a pictograph or cards for decision making kind of at the threshold of viability. I met actually Dr. I think I'm gonna probably butcher her name. I'm so sorry, Dr. Odekel. I met her at CHNC, and she actually did some imaging that was used at the time of the console. And I think the difference here is this spaced repetition aspect, right? Like my thought would be there would be a library of cards you bring to families during the consult. They're allowed to keep them, and they can kind of study them as they are going through their journey in the NICU. We constantly have family members coming to the NICU saying like, "What's going on? Like, I'm not really sure I'm understanding what's going on with my niece or my nephew or my grandchild." You could hand them the card and say, "Hey, this is what they told me about today." So I think that just that longitudinal, that like spaced repetition, so that near at the end of their stay, they can say, "Hey, like I really felt like an integral part of this team."
I love that. And Theodore, tell me, why was it important to you to help families with this journey through the NICU? You could have picked any project. You're super talented. Your drawings are very good. Why this?
Man, it's been a journey to here. I think I'm Nigerian, right? So growing up, I had a little bit of a different upbringing. Like there was never a moment where I thought I couldn't be a doctor, which was great, right? But I think there was moments where I felt like I wouldn't enjoy being a doctor. I didn't feel like I really felt fit the mold. Like I felt, well, when in undergrad, when people were studying for the MCAT, I was studying for the MCAT, but I was also like planning events on campus, or even in med school when people were studying for step one, I was studying, but I was also like with one of my colleagues creating a fashion line, and we used all the funds from that fashion line to fund MCAT books for kids who couldn't afford it. So there was always this just creative aspect that I wanted to like mesh with my profession. And I always thought I would have to keep those two things separate. So the idea came because like I just said, you know what, coming into fellowship, like I'm not a big fan of bench work, right? I'm not a huge fan of some of these other projects. Is there a way that I could, mesh these two lives together? And then the console cars were kind of born. I actually had a specific experience in residency that really inspired even my interest in NICU. I was on my capstone rotation, and Dr. Patil was one of our attendings, one of the people who is training me here in fellowship. We went to speak to a mom who had heart failure, and she was 25 weeks pregnant, and they told us that she was going to have to go for cardiac surgery, and there was a chance that she could go into labor. And it was very difficult to speak with this mom because she wasn't speaking to anybody. When we came into the room, she was kind of looking out the window, didn't really want to speak with anybody. And I don't know what kind of gave me the courage to ask Dr. Patel, could I speak? I don't know why she listened to me. I don't think I was like the smartest person in the room. She was a black woman, maybe because I am a black man. She was able to just connect with me in a different way. But just speaking to her on her level, showing her that this might be a very difficult decision to make. This actually might have been a 23, 24 weeker because she did have a decision to make per se. And I told her that there was not a right or wrong decision here. Like there are some families that made this type of decision and it was best for their family. There was other families that went this other route and that was best for their family. And just talking to her on her level opened her up. By the end of the consult, she was laughing with us. She wanted to move forward based on how we spoke with her. And I think that was like the inspiration for wanting to improve the communication that we have with our patients, specifically in the consults. I thought it was really weird that, decades, well, not even decades, like, I mean, we're not like really a super young profession, but we're still doing consults the same way where we're just kind of like talking at families and then walking out of the room. It's not really standard to leave them with any information. And like I said, the next time they see us, like their child is born in the NICU. So that's kind of like where all of this kind of stemmed from, the road to these cards.
I love that story, and I'm not gonna I think what you've said is a slam dunk. I was just telling my husband this morning, we 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 wonder why some parents ask too many questions, and I wonder why some parents don't ask enough questions, and, parents can never really get it quote unquote right. But how can they if we don't help them with that? And I think your cards do a really nice job of that. In particular, those questions about what to ask. What do you need to know, because they don't know what questions to ask. And it helps them, instead of us just answering those questions ahead of time. It, like you said, really helps them be a part of the conversation, and that's what they want. I mean, your story of opening up that mom just by, asking her about herself, and, that's they wanna be seen as people and part of the decisions, that are happening for their babies. So I think you've done that in a very eloquent way, and we keep saying this is a simple solution. It's not a simple solution. It took you a lot of work. It is low tech, but I think it's even more important that we're highlighting those things, because everything's moving to high tech,
It is, yeah.
AI, bloody bloody, and sometimes we're missing some of those humanistic solutions that our patients and our families are really looking for. So I really appreciate what you've done with that.
I appreciate y'all. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to me, what's an important takeaway from this project is that it offers like what people describe in conversational sort of studies, that it offers strings for parents to pull on, right? Sometimes they'll talk to a physician and they'll understand maybe the first layer of information because that's already pretty much a lot, but then they may not have the opportunity because it's such a short moment in time to actually go in the depth. And this card potentially opens up the possibility saying, hey, I'm wondering about neurodevelopmental outcomes, or I am wondering about the side effect of the medications that we use. So I think it's an opportunity to keep the conversation going, and the opportunity for parents actually to come back to the table. I'm always very frustrated with the fact that I tell parents, hey, if any more questions do come up in the future, please call me back. I'll come back. But very rarely do they call you back. And I think it's because they don't really have the material to sort of reflect over the conversation you've had with them and the opportunity to think about other topics. So I think it's a phenomenal project. I think it's inspirational, and congratulations, Theodore.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all. I really do.
Um, we're going to put your contact information in the show notes, and then we will give the opportunity to people to collaborate with you if that's what they want. In the meantime, best of luck on your new attending position, and best of luck to you and your family, Theodore.
Thank you so much. Light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.
Take care.